institution is more than 30 years old, and it was started in the early 80s by women who felt that there was need to set up a women's bank in this country. And that's what we have been working on. Yeah.
When you talk about a women's bank, does it specifically just meet the needs of women who are in banking?
No, actually when the institution was formed, it was to address a particular need, because in the 80s, women were completely isolated from the financial sector. You know, a woman could not open a bank account without an introduction from the husband or the father. So it was impossible for women to operate bank accounts in the 80s and 70s. So women got together, about 8 of them, and they felt it was important to address that problem. So they came up with the idea of setting a women's bank. But of course, over the time, times have changed. Challenges have mutated from one to the other. But the basic issues have not been resolved. Women are still the most excluded people within the financial sector. So the bank addresses women, yes. That is the entry that we use. But since we got the license, we felt it was important for us to come out very, very clearly and say what we are looking for is the family. We are looking at the family. The institution focuses on the family, but uses the woman as the entry point to the family. So in a nutshell, we work with both men and women, but women are very, very key to the entry, either into business or into any engagement we have with our customers. Actually,
I was looking at the statistics, and it's amazing how huge a number of women contribute to the number of SMEs we have in this country.
Yes, you see, women are very good at nurturing, and women are able to nurture their businesses from a very early stage to a stage where the businesses grow. And you know, in the world of business, you have to be very patient, and women are known to be very patient and willing to invest small amount of money. They are able to look after that money. They don't divert resources. They are very focused, and they are able to remain on course. So you'll find that when they engage in business, the businesses are likely to thrive and be able to move to various stages. And what has been a hindrance is mainly financing and people to trust them with the money. And that's what the bank is all about. Yeah.
Okay, so you do offer financial support. You mentioned that it's now Kenya Women Microfinance Bank,
yeah.
Meaning you concentrate a lot on microfinancing. What exactly is microfinancing? Let's start from there.
Okay, we offer the institution, the mainstream of the institution, that's the backbone, is micro-reading. That is, we work in group reading. We do mobilized savings at the micro level. You know, people who are willing to put up as low as 100 shillings to be able to build their future. People who are willing to take small amounts and be able to build them into large enterprises and large businesses, because that's how businesses are grown. So we give women an opportunity and their families a place where they can come and build their future. So, but as time has gone on, increasingly we find that there are some of our clients who have moved on. And initially what we used to do is, when they moved from the micro arena, we used to hand them over to commercial banks.
Correct.
And then from the commercial banks, they would move to the next level. But women kept challenging us and saying that, why can't we have one-stop shop? Where they can not only be able to put their savings, they can be able to access credit, because credit is only one of the aspects of financing. And they can be able to move their businesses from micro level to medium to big, large enterprises. And we felt it was very important. And that's why we applied for the license from Central Bank, so that we can be one-stop shop. So we offer everything that banks offer. And very soon we are also going to be participating in the clearing house and offering RTGS services, just like any commercial bank. But the only thing is, we remain purely and strongly focused at the micro level with a growing SME sector. Okay. So we are growing an SME portfolio because we felt that it's important to give people an opportunity to grow.
Now, as you continue to grow into a fully fledged bank, are you still specifically concentrating on women? Women SMEs?
Yes, women have always grown their businesses. They have entered the SME level. And what used to happen is that when the institution was formed and we are purely on micro, then we used to release them to look for financing elsewhere. But now we have come up with products that can be able to address their SME needs. And instead of them being multi-banks from ourselves to other banks and looking for money to expand their business elsewhere, we felt it is important for us to come up with this product that we can access them up to slightly over 200 million shillings and, for a period as long as more than 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you go about identifying that this SME belongs to a woman, for example? Because one might feel, you know, first of all, it may feel like it's discriminatory.
Yeah.
And secondly, one could front as a woman, yet it's not really a woman's business.
It really doesn't matter. What we say is that most of the businesses within Kenya, and they are owned by families. You know, we don't want to isolate women and say that women must be on their own. That's not the idea. The idea is to strengthen the families of this country, is to strengthen the enterprises. And you'll find that most enterprises are family-owned enterprises, where a husband and a wife get together with their children or with other partners, and they are willing to get into the SME sector. So at that level, we are not saying women must own 100%, but the woman must be at least investing. They must be an owner in the enterprise, they must be shareholders, or they must be participating strongly in the management of that business.
How do you determine strongly? Because I could have a business, for example, which I run, and maybe my wife has 2% shares. Does that qualify?
She can own some shares. We are talking about not anything more than 25% shareholding. And even if she doesn't own that, maybe she is the one managing the business. Because if you look at the Kenyan businesses, most of them are sole traders, they are partnerships, and they are purely not fully registered. So even the issue of looking at shareholding is not very key. What is important is, what is the role, what role does that woman play in that business? You know, is she participating in a position where she can influence the way the business is being managed, or is she outside there? Because if she is participating, we are good to go, because most of our small and medium enterprises basically aren't even registered. So they operate as sole traders, they are partnerships, people get together and they start growing. Now, few of them are companies actually.
Okay, so what are some of the examples that of businesses that you know possibly have benefited or can benefit from these SME loans?
Okay, we look at the SME from a very wide perspective. May it be all the way from agriculture. We are talking about agriculture inputs. We are talking about mechanizing of the agriculture sector, because you know, Kenya is a strong agricultural country, and we felt that since 80% of our clans operate in the rural area, because that's where we are. We are present in 45 of the 47 counties of this country, and having a strong positioning in the rural area, we felt it's important that we invest in agriculture. And for us to change the way this country runs, to make the country food secure, because when a country is not food secure, you know, women bear the biggest of the challenge.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's very important for us. So we invest in agriculture. We are looking at agriculture from all levels. We are looking at input financing. We are looking at mechanizing. We are looking at buying, you know, if we are talking about dairy farming, buying the animals themselves. And so we are looking at the whole value chain of agriculture, and we are willing to participate with families and women in particular in the whole value chain, because you know that agriculture itself, one of the biggest challenges is that people produce, but they do not take the wares to the market, and if they do, there's a lot of middlemen in between and exploitation on pricing, and that becomes a challenge for farmers. Then we are also looking at real estate, because Kenya, you know, Kenyans invest in real estate in terms of developing housing and renting them out or selling them out, and that's why we also expanded our lending terms to even up to above 10 years, because you can't go into real estate with very short-term financing. So we look at that. Then we look at working capital for business, because we only lend to productive sectors, because we do not want to lend too much in consumption, because consumption is itself aggravates poverty. So we felt that it's important that any productive sector within the country needs financing. So we look at the whole horizon of SME, and
Okay.
So,
One listening to this might wonder, and I'm sure for the people at home, they might be wondering, what qualifies as an SME? What about that lady who possibly is not looking at real estate or a huge agricultural setup? Maybe they just want to buy, for example, maybe get clothes from Turkey, come and sell them and build that business. What qualifies an SME?
Okay, for us, we read to the whole area of business. If you look at micro loans, we read from all the way from 20,000, 30,000, basically to 200 and over million shillings. The only thing is that for that trader who is willing to go to Turkey and buy clothes, we consider that to be micro lending.
Okay.
So, and micro lending has its own space. In fact, 60% of our product sits in micro lending.
Wow.
That's where it is.
And how does one qualify? Do you have to be a member of the bank? Do you have to?
In micro lending, there are two ways of entering it. They are those women and who cannot be able to mobilize collateral. They don't have collateral. So what they do is they get themselves into groups. We train them, we put them, and they co-guarantee each other. They use social security, and we access them money. But it reaches a point.
Does it work like a SACCO?
Yes, it works like a SACCO, but now a little bit people are put together as a group. The groups range from 7 to about 20, 25. And that's micro. But there is also micro, which is a little bit larger. People feel, yes, I have participated in groups for a long time. I have some little bit of assets of my own. At least I have bought a plot, so I can be able to take the loan for myself. And I don't need to be in the groups. Okay. So they are able to access money individually. And either they use a logbook, they use they have a certificate of shares, or they have a title deed of a plot. So they can be able to access money on their own. And these are people borrowing from 500,000 all the way to 3 million shillings. And they have their own terms. But there is this growing sector, which is now above 3 million all the way to 200. For us, because we are in the micro arena, we do not consider SME the way banks, commercial banks do look at it. For us, SME starts all the way from 3 million to 200 million shillings.
Now that you've brought in the banks, what's uniquely different about maybe what product you would offer as compared to a bank? Because I know one of the biggest issues with banks is possibly guarantees or rather collateral, and secondly, interest rates. On the areas of collateral, we are very flexible. When we get to the SME sector, at that point, people have their own collateral because they want big money and they want it for a long time. So you'll find that at that point, the differences are not very major. Okay. But when we get to the micro level, we are completely different because at that point, our collateral is very flexible. We are willing to take what we call social guarantee, where people stand in for you and say, he's a good man or he's a good lady, give her money, we know her. You know, just the same way the SACCOs people do. And that banks, most commercial banks don't do that. The other way is that it's also what drives us. You see, the institution, when it was formed very strongly to help the country develop and elevate poverty. And that's why in certain areas that we operate, most banks do not operate in those areas. We are willing to develop markets. We are willing to break the horizons. We are willing to go where many people do not consider viable to go, because we feel strongly that if we open those areas, we are creating opportunities for the people of this country. So we look at, for us, we are very wide, and we are driven by different agendas. Profitability is not purely what drives us. The institution was formed to at least to be able to address social needs of this country. And that's what wakes us up on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Now, I'm sure by virtue of what you do as we're winding up, you come across many, many kinds of businesses, some that are successful, some, of course, that are not too successful. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs out there? First of all, if we could come up with like a chart of do's and don'ts.
I think the first thing is for any entrepreneur who wants to get to business is you must know what you want to achieve. And you must focus, because the problem with many entrepreneurs is they want to do more than one thing. They want to throw too many balls in the air, whichever ball works. What we usually advise is focus on one line. If you are in agriculture, just focus yourself on agriculture. In agriculture, if you take dairy farming, focus on dairy farming. Know the whole value chain of dairy farming and where the product goes. Once you do that, then the rest of it becomes very easy. The other issue is diverting of resources. Many people, they need to, at one point, employ professionals when the business expands, because they need to know the difference between their turnover and their profit.
Correct.
Because many a times we are not so sure when we are making money or when we are not making money, because we see a lot of resources and cash coming into the business, and we think the business is making a lot of money. Then my other advice is that it takes time for a business to grow. The business is like any other thing. It has a gestation period. You've got to be patient on it, and you've got to engage it on a full-time basis. You can't do business on a part-time way. You need a good banker, of course, who understands you and who understands the issues that you are going through on a daily basis, and the rest of it becomes success.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's things like education to do with money, because you'll go to school, you're taught how to do the math, but we're not really taught how to handle money and how not to handle money. Is there space for that? Do we have the space for that?
Yes. Actually, what we do is that we engage our customers on financial literacy. And we engage them for quite some time, because our officers are trained on financial management. They actually advise the clients on financial literacy, how to do bookkeeping,
right?
How to differentiate between profit and turnover, how to know which is expense and which is asset. So we actually take our clients through those motions of financial literacy, because once you do that, then they are able to succeed. We also have a partnership with Kenya Women Holding, which is our mother company, which invests most of its time and resources in giving financial education to our customers. They hold workshops, and in those workshops, they do train our customers. There are times that also we take our customers, especially when they break into the SMEs sector, and we give them exposure to other women and businesses that are very successful, and they are able to exchange. The good thing about women is that women are not territorial. They share ideas among themselves, especially when they're in groups. There is a lot of passing of knowledge from the people who actually have experienced it to the people who do not have the experience. So there is a lot of information sharing and knowledge being passed from one client to another client.
Okay. Finally, the importance of mentorship when it comes to business, because that's another area that you find lacking. People who can pass over the wisdom to either their children or to generations behind. Yeah,
actually, we advise strongly that as family businesses grow, it's very important for them to draw their children into those businesses. And it's also good at one point actually to know the business has grown beyond your capacity. You need also to employ professionals. And you need to divorce yourself from the business and say, I am the investor. The business has grown beyond my level. I need to employ professionals, because a good business is as good as the people who are managing it. And at times you'll find the business will grow beyond your imagination. And once it gets to that level, the business gets stuck. And at that point, it's good to draw in either your children who you have taken through school. Because, in Africa, that's something we don't invest very heavily.
Right.
We want our children to go to school, but we are in business, we don't actually engage them on our businesses. So they do not know what to do when we are getting older. And that is an area that we need to invest heavily, so that the mentorship takes place over the years, because you can't mentor somebody over a very short time.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Mwangi Githaiga. We'll have to wind it up right there. That's Mwangi Githaiga, who is the MD for KWFT. And I'm sure for more information, if somebody wanted to get more information about how to get the SME loans, the microfinancing, how do they go about that?
We have a number that we will be able to share with the listeners, and the number is available. They can also engage with us. We have 242 offices spread across the whole country. Our head office is in Upper Hill, and we are very, very available and willing to engage. You do not have to come to our businesses. You don't have to come to our offices. We are willing to come to where your business is. You don't have to waste your time. We are available.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Well, that's where we're going to wind up our business chat this morning with Mr. Mwangi Githaiga, the MD for KWFT. But do stay with us right here on Morning Express, because next we're going to have our person of interest, and it's none other than Frederick Omondi Owino. And Ustakeona, if I would try and use his terms. That's coming up right here on Morning Express, so don't go away.